Hello and welcome to this presentation of the 5 keys to creating financial freedom on the internet. And in this short presentation, I want to show you how to harness the power of the internet to create the financial freedom that you deserve. Again, hello and welcome. My name is Joe and I'll be your host over the next 20 minutes. I hope that at the end of this 20 minutes that you will sit back and think that that was the absolute best 20 minutes that you have spent in a long time. Because what I'm going to share with you over the next 20 minutes literally, and I know this sounds corny, but literally could change your financial future. Again, my name is Joe and I've been very successful online. I've been online just over 10 years now and have generated literally millions of dollars in online sales during that time. I've also trained during that time over 13,000 students in several different countries across the globe how to create financial freedom using the internet. Finally, the most important to me is that my story is probably very similar to many of yours out there. I was working a 9-to-5 job and it was a dead-end job. I was working a full-time job, I had a part-time job, and I was going to school full-time. I decided I should jump online to be able to pay for school because I was tired of working 2 jobs to be able to make it through school to only then go and work the rest of my life at a 9-to-5 slave job. Now, I may sound a little harsh to some of you, but that's exactly what it was for me. I wasn't satisfied, I wasn't happy, so I started looking elsewhere to try to find something that would allow me to take control of my financial future and really determine what I got to do with my time and with my money, and then also find something that could give me capabilities to be able to have the financial freedom to do whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, and with whomever I wanted. And I can say, thankfully today, I have been able to find that, and that was using and learning how to harness the power of the internet to create that financial freedom. Now today, as I mentioned, I want to spend 20 minutes with you and I want to give you the 5 keys to creating financial freedom on the internet. Now, our company has helped literally tens of thousands of people acquire these 5 skill sets, acquire these 5 keys, if you will, to become financially free and to be able to live the lifestyle that we all want and we all deserve. So as you sit through this presentation today, I want you to grab a piece of paper and take some notes and write down these 5 keys and figure out if you're the type of person that is going to make this happen. And if you're the type of person who is willing to put in the time and effort to adopt these 5 keys to truly be able to create the financial freedom that you deserve. Again, sit back and take some notes because this stuff has literally helped tens of thousands of people just like you who had similar ideas, similar dreams, and wanted to become successful using the internet. So here are the 5 keys. I'm going to go ahead and lay them out for you, and then we'll take some time to talk about each one of these keys. Here they are. The first key is to determine your why. Key number 2 is to treat this like a business. Key number 3 is to take action. Key number 4 is to avoid common pitfalls. And again, we will talk about each one of these keys. And then finally, key number 5 is to follow a mentor, somebody who's already done this, who's gone before you, and who knows what they're doing. So let's jump in again. Key number 1 was to determine your why. Now, I'm not sure if you've heard of this, but there's a law called Pareto's law. It's also known as the 80-20 rule. You might be more familiar with that. But for those of you who haven't heard about this, Pareto was an Italian economist, and he did a study in Italy that found that 80% of Italy was controlled or owned by 20% of the population, and he thought that was kind of strange that a small percentage of the population owned the majority of the country. So then he continued that study in other countries and found that to be similar. He also continued that study to find that in a work environment, 80% of the output is generated by 20% of the workers. And he continued the study in many different areas across different industries and whatnot, and found this rule to be very consistent across the board. Now, the question I have for you is, does this rule apply on the internet? Now, what do I mean by that? Does that mean that 80% of the revenue online is generated by only 20% of the website owners. Well, the answer is no. That does not apply on the internet. And the question is, how come? Well, it's because on the internet, it's more like the 98-2 rule. Now, what does that mean? That means about 98% of website owners are making 2% of the revenue, and then 2% of the website owners are making 98% of the revenue. And the question is, why is that? Why do 98% of website owners not make it online? Well, here's just a couple reasons why that 98% does not succeed online. First is they have no defined goals. They don't have any clear goals as to what they're trying to achieve, where they're trying to take this business, and what they want out of their online business. Another thing to understand is most of that 98% of the people who don't succeed, they're chasing the money. And we'll talk about that in just a second and why that's not a good idea. And then finally, they're not willing to put in the effort. Now, they don't have clear goals. They don't have to define goals. They're chasing only the money, and they're not willing to put in the effort. And the question is, well, why do they do that? If they know that's not going to help them succeed, why would they do that? Well, in my opinion, they don't have a strong enough why. And that leads us to key number 1. If you do not have a strong enough why, you will not succeed in this business. If you're chasing the money, you're not going to succeed. So let's talk about that for a second. What are the things that are most important to you? Because I can promise at the end of your life, you're not going to be on your deathbed going, I wish I had made more money in my life, and if I had, I would have been happier. No, that's not the case. We want to earn that income. We want to make more money because it affords us the things that we really care about. Maybe it's spending more time with our family or having that time freedom that we talked about. Maybe it's donating to your charity of choice. Maybe it's traveling the globe and seeing the beautiful creations on this globe. Maybe it's having that financial freedom to do whatever you want, whenever you want, with whomever you want. But I can tell you this, and I've seen it in the past 10 years as our company has literally helped tens of thousands of people gain financial freedom. We can tell right away whether that person is going to be successful or not. And that is why our company does not work with every single person that comes to us. We literally have tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people each year come to us asking us, can you help us? Can you help us become successful online? And what we do is we sit down and look at their and ask them some questions and find out, do they have what it takes to become successful online? Because unfortunately, not everybody has it. And one of those keys is if you only care about the money and you're only chasing the money, you are not somebody that we want to work with, because we want success. Our success is determined by how successful our clients are. And so we will only work with people who will be successful. And how do we know? Well, we know these characteristics because we've helped so many people. We know the characteristics and what it takes to become successful. So key number one is you need to sit down and you need to figure out, why would you want to start a business? I know, and that sounds like a silly question, because when I say to you, why do you want extra money? Well, that kind of goes without saying. Well, duh, I just want that extra money, right? Well, no, you need to understand, if you have that extra money, why do you want it? Because I'm telling you, when you put in the time and effort to make this work, there's going to be some difficulties. There's going to be some hiccups, and you've got to have a strong enough why to keep you pushing through those difficult times. And money is not a strong enough why. Again, it may be family, it may be time freedom, charity, financial freedom, travel. I don't know what your why is. You all have different whys, but you need to figure that why out, because that is what's going to help push you through the difficult times. Now, key number 2 is you need to treat this like a business. Now, unfortunately, when a lot of people set up a website, they kind of subscribe to the field of dreams methods. And what is that? Well, if you build it, they will come and make you rich. And that's just not how it works on the internet. If you want to be successful on the internet with your own website or with your own eBay store or whatever, or affiliate marketing, whatever it may be, you need to treat this like a business. Think about this. If this is your job, how would you act? If you were going to devote full-time efforts to this business, or even part-time efforts, how would you treat this if this was a true job and you had an employer? Well, you'd take it serious. You would designate a specific area maybe in your home or where you could work. That way you can sit and you can focus on your business for the time that you do have, because I'm not saying this takes 40 hours a week. What I am saying is the time that you do have to devote to your business, you need to be focused and you need to be honed in and laser focused on creating that success. You need to create a schedule and stick to it. Whether it's an hour a day or an hour a week that you have to work on this business, that's okay. But you need to find that time and dedicate that and find that schedule and stick to that schedule. And set and start finish points. If you're going to work on a task, what's your starting point? What's your finishing point? And then regularly track the results. How are you doing? Are you meeting up to where you should be at this time? And then finally, in a business, you're going to invest in your education. It's important that you do the right and you take the right actions at the right time. And education facilitates that. By knowing what to do and when to do it, you're going to make the right decisions and you're going to work smarter rather than work harder. Because I recognize that some of you will be doing this in your part-time. So when you have that limited time to work on this business, you need to make it count. And that's where education comes in. And then if you treat, and I like to say this to people, but if you treat this business like a big business, it will pay you like a big business. And that is the ultimate goal for all of us, to create that financial freedom using the internet. Key number 3 then is to take action. And this is a big one. It sounds fairly simple, but I find so many people who get stuck in what we call analysis paralysis. And they overthink and rethink and say, well, it's got to be perfect before I start. And then what they end up doing is they never start. So they let the starting be the thing that stops them. And we do not want to get you caught up in this analysis paralysis, overthinking things. We find the right product, we find what we want to do online, and we take action. And we only want to work with action takers, somebody who is willing to say, yes, let's get started, let's pull the trigger, because I am ready to take charge of my financial future and create the success that I deserve. Key number 4 then is to avoid the common pitfalls. Even though we want to take action and move quickly, we still want to make sure that we avoid the most common pitfalls that cause people not to succeed online. And here are a few of the common pitfalls that you want to make sure you avoid as you start generating income online. Number 1 is you do nothing because you don't understand. That is a common error. People get confused and aren't quite sure where to go, what to do, when to do it, how to do it. And so what they do is they don't do anything. Now you may have heard this saying, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. But what I would like to replace that with is a saying that is more applicable to the majority of people. We already talked about the fact that 98% of the people online don't succeed. And we've started to outline some of the reasons why they don't succeed. We work with that 2%. We work with the people who are succeeding online. In fact, we've been behind a number of those students, of our students who are succeeding online, part of that 2%. But if I were to replace this saying and talk about the majority of people, it would have to say something like, when the going gets tough, I'll just quit and go on to something easier, maybe faster, or whatever it may be. And unfortunately, we hear that all the time. People who think, oh, well, this isn't as easy as I thought it was going to be, or it's not as quick as I thought it was going to be. Remember the other keys we've talked about. We've got to treat this like a business. Would you go in and purchase a brand new franchise and then a week later expect it to be profitable? Absolutely not. This is the same. It is a business. But we are going to help you and teach you how to be successful in that business. So I would suggest that as you start your business, you become the first person in this story here. When the going gets tough, you'll get going. And that is the type of person that we see become very successful online and create that financial freedom that they're looking for. Another common pitfall is getting stuck on where to start. We talked a little bit about that just a second ago. We called it analysis paralysis. And that is a place that you should never get caught up with. What we help you do and what you should do is you need to choose the strategy that you're going to start with. Whether it's eBay or e-commerce, meaning you're selling your own product on your own website, or affiliate marketing where you're promoting other people's products. You need to choose that method first. Pick pick a product or niche of what you want to sell, find a supplier for that product, and start selling. Now, I know that's an oversimplified idea of how this works, but that is exactly the process that we've helped tens of thousands of people go through. But that is what it takes to be successful online, is not getting stuck where to start. You pick the niche that you want to be in, pick that product, find somebody to provide you that product, and start selling that product out to the masses. Another common pitfall is letting the details overwhelm you. This is a brand new for a lot of people. In fact, most of the people that we've helped online did not have technical backgrounds, and many of them had never even used a computer to this extent before. But we've been able to help those people without technical backgrounds, without that expertise, become very successful. But there's a lot of details. So my suggestion to you would be to focus on one thing at a time so you don't get overwhelmed. One of my favorite acronyms for the word focus is this: finish one course until successful. You want to focus on one thing. If you've got too many irons in the fire, you're going to be mediocre at a bunch of different things rather than being very good at one specific thing. And then finally, use a mentor. Follow somebody who's already done what you're wanting to do. Look around, find somebody who you know who's become successful on the internet, and ask them to mentor you. Make sure it's a win-win situation. What can they help you out? What can you help them out with? But the idea is, if you follow somebody who's already been successful, well, success leaves clues. And as you follow those people who are successful, you're going to start to adopt their habits, and you're going to also find that same success for yourself online. Another common pitfall is not dedicating enough time. You need to have some time available. I'm, again, not saying you need 40 hours a week, but you do need some time to be able to work on this business. When I was first starting online, I told you at the very beginning of this presentation that I had a full-time job, a part-time job, and I was a full-time student. And when I got home at midnight every day, and that's about when I got home, I was absolutely exhausted and wanted to quit and go to bed. But the idea was, I knew that I could create financial freedom for myself if I just would dedicate some time. So what I did is, from midnight to 2 o'clock in the morning every single day, I stayed up and worked on my website. I was absolutely exhausted, but I did it. And now today, fast forward 10 years, I do not have to do that same thing, because I was willing to put in the time and effort when I was first getting started. And then finally, we said not having clear goals. You need to have clear goals and define clear goals of what you want to get to. And the last common pitfall is this: letting the naysayers get to you. I can tell you that when I first got started, I had plenty of people telling me that, oh, you're crazy. Why would you invest this much money to start an online business? It's not going to work. Nobody can make money online. And when people tell me I can't do something, that's when I've got to go out and prove them wrong. I promise you that as you start your online business, people are going to come out of the woodworks and say, oh, you can't do this, or this is crazy, or I had a friend who tried this and it didn't work for them. And that's okay. We're giving you these 5 keys that you need to follow in order to be successful. And if you'll apply these 5 keys, you will be successful. It's a foregone conclusion. You've got to prove those naysayers wrong. And then finally, key number 5 is to follow a mentor. And if I could, this is the absolute, in my opinion, the most important of the 5 keys, is to find somebody that already has created the type of success and has the type of lifestyle that you want to achieve. For example, if you were lost, would you rather use something like this, a sextant, or would you rather use a high-tech GPS device? Of course you'd want to use a GPS device, because it's going to tell you exactly where you need to go. So as you follow a mentor, and as you find somebody to mentor you, somebody who's already done this, that is the most important key, because they can help you when you get stuck. They can help you, in fact, they can help you increase the speed at which you see success. As I mentioned before, we've literally mentored tens of thousands of people. And you want, like I said, to follow and listen to someone who knows where you want to go and what they're doing and where they're going, and they've already been down those paths. And someone who's already been there. Again, as I said, all of our coaches or mentors are actual professionals. They all currently run successful online businesses themselves. They are the type of people that are already living the dream that you want to get to. They are the type of people who've already been there that you want to listen to and follow their instructions, because they're there to help you become successful because they've already done it for themselves. When you work with our company, you'll work one-on-one with one of these online business experts, whether it's eBay or e-commerce or affiliate marketing. We have experts in each of those three areas who can sit down with you, work one-on-one, and will give you the personal attention you need to be successful. But like I said, as I mentioned earlier in this presentation, we do not work with everybody. We need to make sure that you possess these 5 keys or are working on these 5 keys in order to be successful. We recognize that yes, it does take some work to become successful. But if you're willing to put in the time and the effort to become successful, our mentors are there to help you with that success. So again, let's review those 5 keys to success. Number 1 was to determine your why. Figure out why you want to make this extra money. I know it sounds crazy because you're thinking, of course I want that money, but you really need to determine, why do you want to be successful? Why do you want to start an online business? Is it for that time freedom? Is it for more time with your family? Is it to be able to take more vacations? Maybe it's just to not have to stress about the bills. I get it. I was there once. Okay, but you have to determine a why, and money is not a strong enough why. Key number 2 was to treat this like a business. Put in the time and the effort and realize that this is a real business. And if you want to be successful, you've got to do what it takes to become successful. Key number 3 is then to take action. Don't get stuck in that analysis paralysis. Do something. When you talk with one of our mentors, if they say, hey, we think you're a good fit, we want to work with the person that can make a decision right then and there and say, yes, we're ready to take action. Yes, we're ready to take control of our finances and become financially independent and financially free by following a proven strategy, a proven system to creating wealth on the internet. Key number 4 then is to avoid those common pitfalls, and I gave you some of the most common pitfalls that new business owners online fall into. You need to make sure that you avoid those common pitfalls. And then finally, key number 5 was to follow a mentor, somebody who's already done what you want to do, and follow them and do what they tell you to do, because they are there to help you become successful. One of my favorite sayings is this: successful people do what unsuccessful people are unwilling to do. Absolutely agree with this statement 100%. In fact, the majority of my success in the last 10 years has come from rolling up my sleeves and being willing to put in the time, put in the effort, and really willing to sacrifice in order to meet my financial goals, to be able to have financial freedom. One of the worst things that happens to me, and my wife has to kind of control my anger in this situation, is when somebody tells me, oh, Joe, you've just been lucky. And it literally frustrates me to no end, because they did not see that midnight to 2 o'clock in the morning that I was working my tail off to become successful online. It's not like the internet chose me and I just got lucky. It's not like the internet has chose the tens of thousands of other students that we've worked with. No, they were willing to put in the time, put in the effort to become successful online. And those are the type of people that we want to work with, and those are the type of people that we do work with and have helped them become successful and create that financial freedom. One of my absolute all-time favorite quotes is by Albert Einstein, and he said, he defined insanity as doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. If you're like me, when I first got started, when I first decided to do this, I always had dreams of being financially free and financially independent, and I said, one day it's going to happen. And that one day continued to be put off, and then one day I woke up and said, look, if I don't do something other than what I'm currently doing, I'll never be successful. If what you're doing right now is not reaping the benefits that you hope to have, then you need to take a look at yourself and say, hey, is this insanity? Am I doing the same thing over and over again but expecting different results? If you are, now's the time to change. Now's the time to make that change. Adopt these 5 keys that I've taught you today and start working towards creating a successful online business. And as I said, if you possess these 5 keys, we want to work with you. We want to help you along the way. As I mentioned, we have a team of mentors who are very successful online, whether it be eBay, dropshipping, or affiliate marketing. And those mentors want to work with you. They want to help you. That's our passion, is helping other people become successful online. So if that is something that you're interested in, there's a form on this page that I want you to fill out and start that process today to talk with one of our mentors. Our mentors will jump on the phone with you and talk about what are your goals, what are the things that you're trying to achieve. And we want to see if you are somebody that we feel we can help become successful. Because again, our success comes from seeing our students succeed. And so we only work with those individuals who are willing to put in the time, who have a strong enough why, who are willing to treat this like a business and willing to take action. When we say, yes, you're a good fit, willing to take that action and take the next step, willing to follow instructions and follow a mentor. And if you can do that, you can become our next success story. You can become the next person to create financial freedom on the internet. So take a few minutes, fill out that form on this page, and we look forward to talking to you shortly. Thanks again for spending some time with me today, and I look forward to hearing your success story.